Tuning you in now to the LBX Show with your hosts, Christine Buer and Brandon Wiley. Brought to you by the LBX Collective, your community to connect, engage, and inspire.
All right. Well, welcome everybody.
Gosh, it's November. It's already November. What is going on?
I don't know, but you know what my favorite thing about November is? It's IAAPA month. I love IAAPA.
I know.
A couple of weeks away. So
I know.
Super excited. We have a little preview. So speaking of IAAPA, we'll have a little bit of a preview about the education that's going on for the FEC and LBE constituency. Sherry Howell from CenterEdge is going to be joining us. She's also the FEC Committee Chair for IAAPA. So very excited to have her on the show for our new segment called Guest Gab. And so she'll be walking us through a little bit about what that education is going to be. But, also, we've got a couple of things to talk about. So should we just dive right into our News You Should Know segment?
Yeah, let's just do it. Let's just get there.
All right, let's just get there. Let's do it. All right, so we have a couple of things to talk about with regards to IAAPA. So first of all, we are going to have a booth there. It's booth 145. It's over by the bathroom. So the next time you need to go to the bathroom, there's lots of bathrooms there, but
there's no excuse for you not popping by because we're right by the bathroom.
We're right by a bathroom, exactly. So you'll be able to go by and make sure that you pick up one of these cool looking pins. So you obviously would recognize the LBX Collective logo on the right. And you're going to be wondering what that little X logo is on the left. And we'll talk about that here in just a second. But why are these pins important? These pins are important because we are going to have a speakeasy. And why is it a speakeasy? Because we're not going to pay the money to GES to basically have an actual sponsored bar in our booth at given times. So we're going to have a speakeasy. We're going to hide it. And we're going to have special times. And I'm sure they're never going to watch this show and find out we're actually doing that and then get in trouble, but it's okay. So you want to go ahead and make sure to pick up one of those pins because that's what's going to get you access to the speakeasy. You don't get a free drink on us if you don't have one of those pins. So swing by our booth, get one, or bring the pin you have from last year.
Yeah. Or if you see us, pester us for them because we'll have them in our pockets and we're happy to give them away.
Yes, exactly. And all right. So what is that little cool X pin all about? Well, it is about the LBX Galaxy, shaping the future of fun is our tagline. This is something that we're bringing to, we're launching at IAAPA in partnership with one of our partners, Radius. If you've been listening to the show the last couple of times, Chuck DeMonte, he's been talking about promo pro tips and marketing, and they're a marketing group that focuses on this industry. And we decided to come together and collaborate and create this really cool thing, which we're not going to talk about quite yet, about the LBX Galaxy. We will be launching it in private beta next week. And so if you are interested in an invite, please do reach out to us and let us know, hey, we want early access to this really cool thing, LBX Galaxy. Very excited about what this is, but you'll have to wait and learn more after we actually launch it.
It's going to be fun. I can't wait.
Exactly. All right. And so then we also wanted to just talk about, just because we can start thinking a little bit ahead of time, also one of our partners, Kevin Williams, who does Sound Off podcast with us each week, but he also comes on here and does the Open and Shut segment. He is headlining and basically the one who's bringing everything together with EAG to produce the Social Immersive, that logo is so small, but the Social Immersive Entertainment Expo. It's in partnership or in collaboration or co-locating, however you want to talk about it, with the EAG. So you can check this out at eagexpo.com/SEI. Again, that's for the Social Immersive Entertainment Expo. It happens in London. But it also happens to be the week or 2 weeks before the FEC Summit with IAAPA as well. So you can do both. And so definitely if you are in, that's 1 week away. Sherry, who's like in a little screen down below, just gave us like the 1 week thing. So thank you, Sherry. So 1 week away and super excited about that. All right. That is, I think that's all the events that we got coming up to talk about.
Oh, I mean, just other than IAAPA, which is really the highlight here, right? Which is everybody's focused on that right now. But I love the EAG. Like I'm debating if I'm going to be able to get over there to see it because I think it would be really curious to see, what their presentation on this competitive socialization looks like and what are the trends and things that we need to be watching for now that it's like a real thing, right?
Yeah,
So
100%. And so one last thing I forgot. Next week's show will be focused on, I know we're talking a little bit about the education, but we're also going to be talking about other things to pay attention to take a look at, and be ready for the IAAPA show. So definitely tune in next week for that.
yes. Awesome. All right.
All
Right on. Okay, so Halloween's over, but I really wanted to talk about this. I don't know if you guys remember from the Daily Show a while back. I remember talking about this new ride attraction, the Efteling, the theme park in the Netherlands, was launching. It's kind of like the Haunted Mansion at Disneyland. They were building this new haunted theme. But the thing is, this ride was so incredible because of how it was built. Like, it is this new revolutionary ride system where it sits on a plate. Then the cars, actually, there's 4 different cars that sit on the plate. They spin around while this plate is spinning, and it turns into this like massive spinning contraption that's kind of like out of control. And I'm curious to know whether I'd be throwing my guts out on it, or if I'd really be enjoying the experience and what I was going to see. Anyway, it launched yesterday, and I have a little video of it. Now, I moved it partway through because I didn't want to sit there for 2 minutes while we were going through the line, even though it is super cool. So if you want to check that out, go do a search for it. It's right on their website, and you can kind of see what the attraction on the outside looks like and the lineup looks like. But I really wanted you to see what the ride actually looks like. And I'd love to hear your feedback afterwards if you think this is a thrower upper or like a good experience. So here we go. Okay, let's press play. So there you can see. You go
This theming is so cool.
right.
If you're listening to this, you really do want to find the video for this and give it a watch. It's pretty impressive.
But look at you see how the platform, the bottom one now is moving up, down to the top. So this is set to the famous sounds of rock by Will Sound. Oh, I'm saying that right? Beautiful.
Yeah, this is pretty cool. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I totally want to give it a try.
Yeah, no, it's not nearly as volatile as I thought it was going to be. So the thing is so freaking cool.
I mean, in my mind, though, I'm like, can they change the scenery around the outside to keep you engaged long enough to make the ride exciting and fun, or is it really the feeling and the mechanics of the ride that make it fun, and you don't need as much scenery change around it? But
I don't know. I think it's probably a mixture of both. But when I think about going through the Haunted Mansion at Disney, it's been the same fucking thing for 60 years now at this point. Right. And I think that and it still is interesting. And the ride vehicle was revolutionary at the time, and it's not really anymore. But I think it is engaging, and so I think it's probably a mixture of both.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so apparently this is a very big collaborative effort. There was over 500 people contributing to the development of this, which makes sense considering the massive size and scope of the project. And definitely on my list to do is to get out to the Netherlands and go to this theme park, because it's supposed to be the #1 theme park in the world. And they're putting in the effort. I love seeing the new ride and everything that they're doing, and I'm glad that they actually were able to launch it on Halloween. It's perfect timing, right?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Okay, but before we move on, I saw this little meme and I thought it was so perfect for our industry. Happy Halloween and on to the next, right? It's literally like this overnight. All of a sudden, things are going to be Christmas everywhere you go. And I feel like you're going to be talking about a little bit of that today.
Yeah, absolutely. So to transition in from a heavily themed area to LBE, it's doing some mini golf and taking over space. There's a place in Milwaukee. It's called the Holy Mackerel. So not to be confused with Holy Moly, which is a big chain that comes out of Australia that's doing a bunch of mini golf. This is the Holy Mackerel, single location. They recently took over the River Hills Family Fun Center, and they've been trying to make improvements, refreshing, really kind of run down. And so last fall, they completed the clubhouse bar and arcade. Then they did batting cage repairs. They updated the greens on their but it's outdoors. So this is Milwaukee, Wisconsin, right? So they updated the greens for their mini golf, and they added some water features this summer. And so now that they're starting to come into the fall and come into the winter, what are they doing? They now need to focus on updating the indoors and creating an indoor experience, because everything's going to be snowy and you're not going to be batting cages and mini golf out there. So November 4th, actually, so next Monday, they are opening up their indoor portion, and it's going to be called the Sippin' Shanty. So one of the things that's really popular here, or not say here, but in Wisconsin, is ice fishing. And so they do ice shanties. And so they set up shanties, they drill a little hole in the ice, and then they sit there with their coolers of beer and freeze their ass off while they try to get fish, right? It's basically just an excuse to drink beer in the cold. So, they have created this like feeling, and they have like seasonal cocktails that they've done. And they're just basically making this a pop-up inside of their own facility. So this isn't meant to be an ongoing sip and shanty thing. That's not what their bar is going to be. It's literally just for the holidays that they're doing this, and for the winter. And they've got new cocktails, some really eclectic food offerings. And I think what's cool is like, they're just like, it's just a kind of a shit bar inside, but they've really gone to leveled up their food and beverage and brought in lots of local beers, craft brews, like craft cocktails. They've really done a great job on that front. But like, look, when you look inside, it's like not anything amazing, but yet the quality of what they've done to level up and get people to come back in and just hang out in, the warmth is pretty cool. So I think the reason I bring this up is that they are just trying new things, and that they're constantly making changes, seasonal changes inside.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about this a lot, or we used to on the Daily Show, and we do every once in a while out here, is like, it's important to embrace seasonality and to do new things around your seasons to get people to come back in more frequently to experience those seasons. So they're actually doing that now on December 5th. They're actually going to make another change where they're going to transition into a Grinch-themed pop-up for the remainder of December. So they've got the sip and shanty, and then they're going to transition to a Grinch theme for the rest of December. And so again, constantly keeping that theming happening and bringing people in to have good food, good drinks, and new fresh themes. Something anybody can totally do in their facility.
For sure. I love this idea of the pop-up. I've seen this multiple times at different centers and in different hotels, actually, where they just have like a little room that they're not using for something. They just throw Christmas up all over the place and come up with a fun little cocktail menu. I'm telling you, people want those little fun Christmas experiences, and these places are packed. So great way to drive revenue and excitement about your business again.
Yeah, absolutely. So good job, Holy Mackerel in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And that is news you should know. All right. Well, I'm excited for our new segment called Guest Gab, and our first guest on for that new segment is going to be Sherry Howell. As I mentioned earlier, she's from CenterEdge, the IAAPA, and also the IAAPA FEC Committee Chair. And so let's bring her on and talk a little bit about IAAPA.
Hey,
Sherry Howell. Hey, welcome to the show.
thanks. I didn't know I was your first guest. I feel so honored. Thank you.
Yeah. Excited to have you on. So you're going to be talking to us a little bit about the education program for specifically the FEC constituency at IAAPA. Is that right?
Yes.
All
Yes,
right.
definitely.
So yeah, go ahead.
No, and just everything you've been talking about, the pop-up attractions, the social aspects of gaming, and I mean, just everything is all going to be featured in the expo this year. I couldn't be more excited.
Awesome. All right. Well, then let's dive into it, and we'll bring up the slides here, and you can take it away. We want to hear a little bit more about it.
Great. All right. If you just want to roll through, we can go ahead. Yeah, there's me. Contact. All right. So for education, there's 3 different types of content that you can get at Expo this year. We've got 3 FEC LBE lunches, and those are ticketed, but there are still tickets. I confirmed that yesterday. There are still tickets available. So if you want to get in on any of the lunches, definitely do that. They're from 12 to 2 on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. You have some experience, you'll get to experience lunch and mingling and talking with other operators, and then you'll have some really great content, engaging, really exciting topics to gather, and then you'll be able to network a little bit more before going on. So it's about an hour and 15 minutes of actual presentation. And then, the rest of the time is networking and having lunch. So that's pretty cool. In addition to that, here, you want to go back one slide real quick? In addition to that, we've got 12 edu sessions, and those are the traditional presentations. We've got lots and lots to share with you. We took it to you guys to find out what you were interested in learning about, and I'll talk more about that in a little bit. But every day we've got different panels, different presentations, and different opportunities for you to learn from other operators and, of course, industry experts. And then we've got 3 edu talks. They are those small TED Talk style presentations that are all around a similar theme, back to back 3 on Thursday. So we'll talk a little bit more about those. So let's talk about those lunches. So 3 different lunches, one all about guest experiences and creating raving fans. We've got a really talented speaker that you guys are going to love. You've probably seen him before, but you'll definitely want to check out the IAAPA website so that you can learn more about the speakers, learn more about the descriptions of all of the sessions. But this one is going to be all about that hospitality mentality and getting your guest experience to the next level. That's on Tuesday. On Wednesday, you've got the next generation of LBE that will be immersive, gamified, and personalized. All of what you heard Brendan talking about already in the show, that's something that you're not going to want to get around. You're going to want to embrace that. So it's going to be a really innovative session that you do not want to miss. And then on Thursday, we're going to dive into leadership. We've got some great leaders that are going to come and deliver the FEC remix of the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. That's the John Maxwell philosophy, and lots of really great tips and tricks for you to explore in your leadership model. So definitely, again, they are ticketed, but you definitely want to check those out. Oh, looks like we have a little slide error here, but no worries. Again, check out the IAAPA website if you want to take a look at the titles and the session descriptions and everything. But let's go ahead and start with Monday. So we've got 3 sessions for you on Monday. That first one, pop-up attractions and those FOMO-worthy experiences through different activations in your facility. Those Grinch-themed cocktail hours, the ice fishing. I don't know. I'm not going to do that, but somebody else may. But we've got some great panelists going to give some real world experiences, in their pop-up attractions. And before I actually go on, I want to tell you that the education this year was really a labor of love. So the committee got together and they really wanted to explore, okay, we've got a lot of submissions. There were some great submissions, but also we took it to you guys to find out what is it that you really are struggling with? What do you want to learn more about? And then we worked with industry experts, operators, people doing it really, really well. And we have built lots of great sessions with these talented folks. So I really think that this year you're going to be really impressed with what all of these speakers have put together, because it's exactly what you asked for. 10 to 11 on Monday, you'll have those FOMO-worthy experiences. And then followed by an arcade psychology, boost business by comprehending your customers. It's all about understanding your guests on a deeper level, because not everybody's got the same strategy or goals when they come to your game rooms. So that's going to be a great way to drive revenue. You definitely want to check that out. And then reality bites, all about those extended reality, augmented reality, how tech is reshaping location-based entertainment. So again, trends, innovations, you're definitely going to want to check that out. That brings us to Tuesday. And we've got 2 sessions for you on Tuesday. We've got the essentials to excelling in FECs and LBEs. You're going to hear from people that have done it, people that have been in a lot of facilities and really able to tell you what went well, what didn't go well, how to do it right yourselves. So if you attend one, this is definitely one you're going to want to attend. And then more about driving revenue, dynamic pricing, packaging, promotions, and we've got a great panel of different folks getting together. It's an hour and a half. The rest that we've seen so far have been an hour-long session. This one's 90 minutes because it's going to be super practical. Here's what works, here's how you can do it, and then, the steps to actually make it happen. So that's going to be pretty awesome. That brings us to Wednesday. Wednesday is packed, so don't stay out too late Tuesday night. But we've got some great panelists coming together from lots of different types of family entertainment and location-based entertainment venues. In that 8:30 session, level up your FEC's online social media presence. You're going to see examples, you're going to see case studies, and just lots of good content that anybody like you can do without, a huge budget. So it's going to be great. Then we've got our next 90-minute session. That's a blueprint for transforming event success. We've got a great operator and an industry icon getting together and delivering, the steps that it takes to transform your event booking process. It's one of the most profitable programs in your facility. So definitely this is going to really help you take that to the next level. Really anything that you learn, any session that you attend really is going to drive your revenue. If you take one thing out of every session, you're looking at easily $1 million in increased revenue. So, or saved costs, or, whatever, less turnover. So don't skip education is what I'm saying. That afternoon, we've got creating inclusive spaces. You're going to see lots of speakers from Morgan's Wonderland, other facilities and parks that have helped special needs individuals, and how they've created a safe space for everyone to enjoy, which I think is what we're all after. So that's going to be a terrific session. And then, what is it that operators get wrong the first time? What mistakes that people wish they hadn't made? That's what's coming up in that last session of the day on Wednesday. Mastering FEC management. So leading teams, optimizing operations. You're going to hear from some really great folks, people that manage facilities and train, as well as an operator who does it and learned all the lessons. So you don't have to make the mistakes that they'll tell you they made. That brings us to Thursday. So we've got 2 sessions on Thursday. We've got now hiring, setting up effective onboarding, because it doesn't make sense to hire folks and then onboard them in a crummy way that makes them quit too soon, or that you get disappointed in them because your expectation and their reality don't line up. So you're gonna learn how to do that better. And then, whether or not it's time to expand or not expand. What is the next step for your business? That's coming up last. So great speaker there. That's longtime industry icon. So definitely, you do not want to miss this year's Expo sessions. And that's going to bring us to EduTalks. Now, last year, our EduTalk brand was on branding, and this year our theme is on crisis and difficult situations. And I really think that it is late in the day on Thursday, but I really think that you want to carve out time for it, because the first session, I think it's at 3:40 or so on Thursday. It's all about communication and planning for crisis. How are you going to handle a crisis if and when it happens? Critical piece. Followed by a preparation and managing difficult guests and other situations, a bit more lighthearted, where you're going to learn from an operator, how do you handle this high maintenance mom? How do you handle that crazy situation with staff? So it's going to be really practical. And then we're going to do some active shooter case study and teaching with assessing your organization's response to violence. Now, I will tell you, bring tissues, because when I reviewed the PowerPoint for this, I got a little emotional. I can't imagine how tough it's going to be, but unfortunately, it is something that we all need to really know and be ready for. So I definitely think that that this year's EduTalks are some of the best we've ever done. So that's education for the expo. Before expo, if you're new to the industry, looking to open a venue, or barely have just begun opening, have just begun the process or have just opened, rookies, FEC 101 is still for you. It's a 2.5-day event, begins on Saturday the 16th at Bezerland with a nice welcome reception, and then followed by education at Andretti's at the Convention Center, where you get to have a look into behind the scenes at Andretti's, which is a nice feature, and then followed by some more education and speaker roundtables and discussion and learning at the Convention Center on the 18th before the expo fully begins. So definitely check that out. It's also ticketed, but there are still tickets available for that. And then let's finish with the party. So our FEC LBE welcome reception is Monday evening, the 18th, from 6 to 7:30. This is a change. If you've attended in the past, it is earlier now. And we've changed the location. So it's going to be at the Hyatt Regency still, but at the Terrace Pool deck. So we'll have some fun outside this year, and I hope to see all of you there. There are still tickets, which usually it's sold out. But I think with Expo being a week later, people just haven't gotten there yet. So be the first to grab your ticket and don't miss out.
Well, awesome. Thank you so much, Sherry. I know I'm definitely going to be there at the reception, and actually, we're both going to be rookies as well, because we're some of the faculty members there, and going to be catching a lot of the education sessions and in a few of the education sessions as well. So yeah, I won't tell you which ones. You have to figure it out, but or just go online. Just go on to IAAPA's education page, dig through all these sessions, and find the ones that you really want to attend, that you feel like is going to add the most value to your business. It's going to be hard because they all can.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Sessions too. I didn't even talk about that. I mean, you don't have to do the ones that are for the FEC LBE track, but these are the ones that include your peers. So,
yeah, that's right. That's a good point you bring up. There's food and beverage sessions that are focused on that. Again, for all, not just FEC constituency, might not be people that are your peers, but food and beverage sessions, marketing sessions, HR sessions, safety and risk and compliance sessions. There's so many different bits of education that Sherry just didn't even touch on, because again, this is the stuff that's really driven and focused and built by your peers. And Sherry, thank you so much for doing this work. Both Christine and I know, having been the committee chairs in the past for the FEC committee, it's a lot of work. I don't think anybody really understands how much work goes into it, not just to identify which sessions to create, but to actually develop and work with the speakers to develop the sessions and make sure the speakers do all the stuff that they're supposed to do on time. All of that stuff is really a lot of work.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And the lineup looks so awesome. Like, I love the evolution. I love how things keep changing and growing. So good job. It's great to see that, and looking forward to some of these awesome sessions this year.
Me too.
Awesome. All right. Awesome. Well, Sherry, thank you so much for joining us, and look forward to having you again on the show for Guest Gab.
Thanks for having me.
Bye, Sherry.
Intercard is the only cashless system designed, developed, and manufactured all under one roof. They introduced cashless technology to the amusement industry and have been leading the way for over 30 years. Cashless systems from Intercard increase customer spending, guest satisfaction, and boost revenues by up to 30%. Intercard is so proud to be serving the amusement industry, and if you aren't already part of their global family of customers, they hope you will become one soon.
Hey, a big hello to everyone, and welcome to the latest Open and Shut, where I'll be trying to zoom through the mass of openings and redevelopments that are taking place in the sector. So anyway, let's jump straight into it. And with the first of the openings, a little bit of a surprise, of course. We have to be mindful in our sector that other companies are now looking at the entertainment dividend and wanting their slice of the pie. And Our friends at Toys R Us have returned from the grave, and they have come up with the concept for their next opening of the brand new facility from the creditors of the operation. You know, go onto Wikipedia, you can follow the whole story of the trials and tribulations of Toys R Us. But the interesting thing is, in Chicago, they will be opening a 10,000 square foot facility, and this is retail attainment. So this will be, along with a showroom entertainment space, they will have attractions of some sort, some kind of entertainment alongside the retail. We're not quite sure what type of entertainment they're having, but be mindful that is new competition to the more conventional entertainment facilities. Looking at other competitors looking for a little bit of a slice of the cheddar, as I would say. And we have now immersive entertainment attractions that are much more on a pop-up, temporary nature. The horizons of curfew allow you to wander around a recreation of the pyramids and travel back in time to their creation using virtual reality. A dedicated space in New York has been allocated for this, and groups of people go through in virtual reality headsets, and it is able to handle quite a large audience. This is one of many installations. There are installations like this in London, in Madrid, in Barcelona. Some are linked to museums, some are standalone attractions. But again, an example of our technology being deployed in a more leisure entertainment application rather than an amusement or attraction approach. As I said, not just in New York and London, but also they've opened up in Shanghai. The VR audience experience, giving an adventure, is flexible. So we're seeing different types of content, but be prepared that, you know, you may not have any competition in your city location, but then one day a space is repositioned and suddenly is turned into a temporary virtual reality entertainment space. And, you know, you've got to be mindful of the impact that will have. VR is big and VR is traveling, and along with temporary installations, we're also seeing it being parachuted into existing facilities. So we're interested in the French Riviera. There is what I would call an entertainment hub. It's got food, it's got some gaming, it's got a lot of cocktails and live music, and they have decided that it'd be a good idea to parachute in a VR arena from our friends at EVA, the esports arenas. And this kind of system is very similar to what we saw happen at Gravity Max, where they parachuted in a sandbox VR installation into their already existing space as an attraction. Moving on, and we've got some redevelopment to talk about. Facilities that are of a certain age or in a certain position want to put more money into their operation to bring them up to standard or to push them beyond what they were started off as and expand upon their successful business. Extreme Karting in Scotland has gone through a 1.5 million upgrade process. They've dropped in a multi-level track component. They've got the latest electronic high-performance kart systems. They've rolled out the red carpet to their local audience to offer an extreme experience to them with a strong entertainment and private hire capability. Then we see the other approach in the sector, which is using entertainment as a hub or as an entertainment anchor. That is where retail attainment, retail venues would normally be looking at food and cinema and nightclubs as their entertainment hub or anchor. They're now looking at location-based entertainment pop-ups. They're also looking at social entertainment. And so we're seeing in Pennsylvania, there is a certain area called South Main Street, which has a lot of very high-level retail and has some historic value. And they have decided to parachute in a number of social entertainment venues to increase the dwell time of the people in that area. And so we see the appearance of Main Strike, which is a little bit of everything. They've got a bit of duck pin bowling. They also have focused on indoor miniature golf and simulator golf bays, all supported by cocktail and F&B. But you get the picture of this is really where certain locations are now looking to augment their retail with a little bit of retail attainment. And that can be, seen quite clearly here at South Centre Mall. In Canada, this mall is well known. It already has a couple of location-based entertainment operations inside, and they just announced the development and opening of an 80,000 square foot premium entertainment facility called Power Play, a brand new approach, and that has a bit of everything. It's going to have, well, I think the doors are already opened on this one, but they have an immersive game box in there. They have golf simulators in there. They're going to have some amusement in there. They're going to have the dining and the cocktail component, as well as proximity to entertainment. So you could say retail attainment meets cinetainment. Let's not get too confusing, but you kind of see the picture of where we're going, where these types of entertainment systems packaged in what I like to call a mixed-use leisure entertainment format can offer an entertainment anchor to the already existing audience that is visiting the mall. Holy moly, they rolling out some new locations. They announced that they've got US locations in Santa Monica being rolled out. That's a 9,000 square foot. That's in support of what they've already done in San Francisco, which we've already talked about. This is a serious push by them, and this also is going to be one of the new kinds of holy moly, which I touched upon in a previous sound off, where they're adding a little bit of competitive socializing on top of the mini golf components. So they're talking about karaoke rooms and some outdoor spaces. Also some entertainment, but again, we'll wait and see for the doors to fly open on this facility to see how much this Australian brand has reinvented itself for its North American application. The golf simulators never end, and in London, Canary Wharf, Pitch has thrown its hat into the ring. It is a brand new golf simulator venue with a bar and a club area kind of feel to it, very social entertainment vibes. The Canary Wharf area of London is proving a real mecca for social entertainment facilities. They already have Electric Shuffle, they have Fair Games, they have Clays. They are really gathering all of the venues, and we've already reported on that in that coverage, that area, a brand new competitive socializing entertainment hub is opening up next to the XL facility. So again, putting competitive socializing close to where the audience is, rather than if you build it, they will come. It's if they've come, you will build something to entertain that audience. And understand, we're not dealing with just children here, but we're dealing with a maturer market with bigger aspirations, greater spending power, disposable income, as it were, and they're looking for a good time. And many people are talking about this kind of social entertainment, especially in Europe, being the replacement to the traditional pub and club atmosphere for social. Again, another redevelopment. So Laserdome in Sweden have spent some money and they parachuted into their facility a brand new Quest room, or Quest mission room, as it were. So that's 15 rooms. Physical activity, skill, mind games, more mission rooms than escape rooms. And if you're not familiar with the difference, we can go into the detail regarding that. But again, offering an additional attraction in support of the laser tag component of this facility. Winner's Circle, 28,000 square. This is pretty interesting. Colorado, really looking at a undiscovered country to describe the audience there. They haven't many examples of this kind of mixed-use leisure entertainment component other than bowling facilities that are upgrading their mix. This has a bit of everything: axe throwing, mini golf, some amusement, duck pin bowling. So it is really a mixed-use leisure entertainment looking at social entertainment and being parachuted into a pre-existing facility that has been previously had a, I think, office and a department store, and now it's been transferred over totally to this entertainment offering. Time Rift, Texas, again, retro bar feel, but also with some console and some PC gaming, 100 classic games, pinball, the mix that we've become familiar with, but is becoming very popular as a drop-in. At some point in time, we're going to run out of available classic arcade machines to put into these facilities. Kingpins in Bristol in the UK, Kingpins is a growing bowling chain. They've started to roll out a number of facilities within the UK. I think they're up to about 4 sites, if I can do that off the top of my memory box. And they've gone for a much more social bowling, boutique bowling approach with amusement, with a big bar. And they're now parachuting in technology darts, which we would know as AR or gamified darts, shuffleboard, even the nylon floor ice curling. So that's interesting to see that they're really moving from their boutique bowling and parachuting in a lot more social entertainment components. Hollywood Bowl. They've been revamping all of their facilities, and there's been some reports now about how that process is going on. It's interesting that they put a number to how much they're putting into all of their sites. So their existing venues, they go to each one in turn, and they parachute in about 160 to 470K pounds to revamp. So that is upscaling the branding, parachuting in new amusement, reapproaching their bar and food offering, and really targeting the new audience, to the point that they're now looking at redeveloping their bowling experiences so that they can be played where the users don't need to hire bowling shoes. They're going for the special floor surfaces that allow simple flow through. Playtopia, Romania, undiscovered country, if there isn't one, isn't a better definition of one here. 4,000 square meter facility, a bit of everything, more active play heavy, I would say, but with a lot of amusement, a lot of interactive and soft play for the children. A real example of a mule that is trying to be all and to capture an undiscovered audience and attract them to that. I would keep an eye on that brand because I get the feeling that once they have proven the concept works in their particular location, that they're going to start rolling it out across the country. In Italy, in Como, our friends at Clip and Climb have supported Escal Jumps. This is active play with a little bit of social entertainment engineering around it. But again, it's an example of these kinds of operations broadening their target group and opening up more facilities. And the next following openings and shuts, you'll be seeing a lot of our coverage talking about already established chains adding 5, 10, even 20 new venues to their opening roster, trying to keep up with the competition and trying to go for the land grab as we see it. Our friends at Round One, a perfect example. They've opening up their latest development in the San Francisco area. And again, this will be an updated version of the current Round One US model. And I think we will see a bigger pivot to the F&B side, as well as an increase in the amusement and other social entertainment, along with their bowling. Jumping to Japan, and Taito surprised us with a number of openings of new facilities, and one of those is their Taito F Station. So we're normally used to the Taito Station brand, which is a dedicated entertainment facility heavy on the cranes with some amusement, or the UFO catchers, if we're talking Japan. Now we're seeing the Taito F Station starting to appear, and these are much more retail unit, drop-in kind of entertainment experiences, heavy on the gashipo, heavy on the cranes, heavy on the merch, lots of medal games as well. So, you know, filling up the available retail unit spaces with an entertainment offering. Our friends at Agenda, the latest round of Geico's going in. November will see the opening of doors of, I think, about 2 new facilities. You know, it's an ongoing steam train, and I was reading a report recently from the company, and they have some very big aspirations for 2025. As I said, they've been broadening their reach, and Taiwan, the Geico Taiwan operation announced the latest openings in their particular sector. They have a unique brand which they've been pushing pretty heavily, which is Little Planet, and that is aimed at a much more younger audience, using a lot of interactive and media-based children's entertainment components alongside the more traditional crane and amusement offering. In Japan also, we have seen an explosion in capsule toy retail units. So these are the gashipo or capsule crane systems, and they're being parachuted into available retail units, you know, across the country. There are a lot of available retail units as the Japanese market restructures itself in the retail sector after the quite harsh COVID scenario that they've just had to experience. And I think a lot of these kind of gashipo, drop-in retail unit systems that we're seeing in Japan may also start to be making an appearance, as we've seen in Texas and also in Salt Lake City. We may be seeing that spread wider afield. You know, just going down towards the end of the wide selection of new openings internationally, and Namibia sees the opening or the reopening of an entertainment venue. I'm led to believe that Street House is a brand that is populating an already existing entertainment space and bringing it up to speed. So I don't know if this is a redevelopment or if this is a brand new facility going into the previously exited site. Our friends at Battle Kart, with their augmented reality karting experience, throwing the doors open in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, to their facility. Really, really impressive. And then one of the major developments that kind of touches upon us a little bit, but is worth mentioning, is the first NEOM project in Saudi Arabia. This particular island has been redeveloped into a high-level tourist and luxury hotel and tourist venue, which is also a park for super yachts and cruise liners. And, you know, this is part of the $500 billion vast amount of money tourist redevelopment project that is NEOM. And it is interesting to understand that this particular project also has some attractions in it, as most of the NEOM developments that we will be hearing more and more about over the coming years includes an amusement or attractions or a social entertainment component. So luxury social entertainment is something that we're going to have to add to our mix. And while we're talking about cruise liners, we're now seeing cruise ships and cruise operators looking at parachuting in their own location-based entertainment and social entertainment attractions on board the ship. And our friends at Norwegian Cruise Lines have just started to roll out 2 of their new ship classes, and both of those will include entertainment spaces set aside for social entertainment, some active entertainment. I wouldn't even be surprised if some pickleball ends up on board, but everybody to their own. Just to wind down on the shuttings, we've just heard that the Mountain View facility is closing down to be repurposed by a brand new owners who are going to be opening their own interpretation of that space, bringing it up to speed. So one closes, one opens. We've seen the same thing happen in Scotland with the close. Wales. The closing of a nightclub and entertainment facility, reopening now as Fire and Ice Club, which is more of a social entertainment venue, amusement, and some gamified darts and those kinds of things to be expected. Repurposing. So where one fails, another one jumps into the space. That kind of points to how fast things are moving in this sector. But anyway, I've gone a little bit over, but hopefully you've got value from that. And if you have any questions, just buzz me an email. But that's it for now.
All right. Well, yeah, tons of stuff going on there. And one of the things that I was reflecting on is, it was a long segment because there were so many things opening. And from what I understand from Kevin, he already has a full deck already lined up for next week. So these things just keep rolling. But one of the things I was reflecting on is it looks like a lot. And then you realize, oh, well, actually, probably at least 40% of the things that he was covering are international or are doing things really unique, like they're on a cruise ship, like a couple of things he talked about. So like when I think about internationally and worldwide, like, yeah, it's a lot that's opening. And if it was all opening here in the US, I think it would be a different factor. But anyway, I don't know what your thoughts are on that. Like,
yeah, I mean, I do have an interesting little comparison here. And specifically speaking, when he was talking about something in my own backyard. So he mentioned that there's a new power play facility opening here in Calgary, 80,000 square feet. Now, I mean, he could have added a little bit more color to that, and that facility will not be 80,000 square feet when it opens. It's only going to be 40 maybe. It doesn't sound like it's fully done. The rooftop isn't done and stuff like that, which is fine. It's cool. It's in an interesting location, 3rd level of a mall. To get there, you have to go up 3 sets of stairs or an elevator to get there, which is curious. I think it's in a great high density location. But what I find most fascinating with what you're just talking about, it doesn't feel like a lot's opening up. What Kevin didn't draw the comparison to is that there's also another 80,000 square foot facility opening up that is going to be 80,000 when it opens up. It'll have 2 level go-kart tracks, 2 of them inside, plus bowling, plus arcade. It's going to have everything in it. It's literally, they're 10 minutes apart. So they will be drawing from the same audience. So when we talk about so much saturation in this market and people opening up things, I'm seeing it here on a Canadian level, which I think is super interesting and fascinating. So I can't imagine that it's not going to roll over to the US. And unfortunately, in his segments, he's just talking about the things that he's seeing and not all the things that have been accumulated over time. So I think it'd be really interesting to do a little bit of a study. Well, how much of stuff is actually opened up in the Phoenix market or in the Calgary market or California, over this period of time, so that we can really get a good sense of, are we really oversaturated, or is it just that things are gangbusters and we were so underserviced before and we needed this stuff, right? And it's all good.
Yeah. And I think it depends on the market. So in Calgary, as you know, as you were looking at, potentially doing something, is actually in the space when power play is going.
Yeah, that's right.
And that is, it has been an underserved market. Now, I think there's a question about, do we need 2 10 minutes apart? Probably not. I think that's going to end up being a mistake for power play. I think Speeders is going to probably be a much better, well-executed venue. It is Speeders, right? Is that how it's called?
It is, yeah. And we'll see. We will see, except for Speeders will have go-karts. And I don't know what trumps go-karts.
Totally agree. I mean, I think that's, and Andretti certainly put a lot of the weight behind it, and even Urban Airs, right? As they've tried to expand beyond adventure parks, what are one of the attractions they added? Go-karts. So I think they're seeing that as well, which one last thing on my mind is the Sky Zone, adding 10 locations, which you talked about at the very beginning of that segment.
Right.
And when I look at Sky Zone and the fact that they have not really evolved their attraction mix since they really started. I mean, yes, they used to be just trampolines. Now they've added some climbing walls and a zip line. Like, okay, great. You added a ninja course. Good for you. That's not really evolving the brand or the attraction mix, and now trying to squeeze in another 10 on top of the 200 plus that are already spread throughout the US. It shows to me that their only way of, like, at least it brings to a question in my mind, which is, are they doing what Bolero is doing, which is basically they have to keep opening new locations or keep acquiring to show top line growth, even though their same store year sales may be declining or may not be as good. And so the only way Sky Zone continue to show growth is to open new franchises and bring new things on versus trying to just optimize their existing locations.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And I it's scary to me because, I went to a Tony Robbins business mastery course, like, I don't know, maybe 5 years ago. And there was a big stat in there where he said, 95% of businesses actually never make money. And, they're always just trying to find out and figure out how to kind of get the next investment dollar in or what they need to do to keep operational. And to me, that's a big fail in business. I personally feel that, sure, there should be some of that, but I also feel that you have to build a product and figure out how to sustain it, or it just isn't a really good, solid business. And so if these guys are expanding like nuts just to create that top line revenue, and they're never going back to look at their business model to see why aren't people coming back, or how are we going to continue to drive revenue into these locations, we're just kind of creating a junk yard, aren't we?
Yeah, I think that's a definitely a risk, which, we didn't mention it, but I'm going to mention it now, which is, one of the segment or one of the education sessions at IAAPA that we're going to be, that I'll be moderating is the FEC lunch on, there's actually two. So we'll talk about the FEC lunch that's happening on Wednesday, and that's talking about the future of location-based entertainment. It's going to be immersive. It's going to be gamified. It's going to be personalized. It's not going to be the same stuff that we're seeing today. And so I think there is going to be a reckoning with the things we've seen. We also have the session where it's you and me that we're going to be representing, the LBX Collective, but then we also have our friends Nate and Barry from Fun Across America. It's the essentials for excelling in FECs and LBEs. And that one is as well. We're going to talk about what do we see and what do we know, having visited so many venues and seen so many venues, that we know it like really drives excellence in FECs and LBEs, because it can't just be the norm. You cannot be the norm if you want to succeed in this type of saturated market.
Yep. So come to the sessions.
Yes, come to the sessions. That's at the end of the day, come to the sessions. All right.
Not only that, but contribute, because we want to know from you too what you're seeing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, speaking of excelling and what you're doing, we're going to hear from Chuck Damati with Promo Pro Tips.
Hello, welcome to Promo Pro Tips with Chuck Damati. That's me, Chuck Damati. And today I want to talk about the Google Business Profile. So the Google Business Profile is super important. It's where you're basically your yellow pages, right? Listing for Google. So if somebody searches certain keywords, you'll come up in a Google search for your Google Business Profile. It's where people leave reviews. You can put images. This has become more and more and more important, especially for local businesses. Google has emphasized this more and more, and they prioritize it, I should say, more and more. And I'll show you second in a search and what it is, the Google Business Profile, the Google Map Pack, right? It's really important for local businesses. And so you should really be focusing in on it. And you could basically do that in one of two ways. You could do paid advertising for your Google Business Profile, or you could do search engine optimization, so SEO for your Google Business Profile. So let me start off by showing you what the Google Business Profile is, and then I can give you some ideas of how you could better improve your Google Business Profile. So here you see I did a search for laser tag, okay? And now I'm in New York here, so it's showing me local results. You see the sponsored results, okay? Now, if you scroll down, those are regular search results. If you scroll down, though, now you see the Map Pack. Okay, this is the Google Map Pack. These are all Google Business Profiles and terms that relate for laser tag. Okay, if I click more places, you're also going to see a sponsored ad there as well. Okay, now people more and more, right, are going directly to their Google Maps app and will search right in there as a search engine for certain things they're looking for to see what's closest to them. Okay. And if you go back before I was in the map, you could see here, yes, you have your sponsored searches, and then right away you see the Google Map Pack even before your organic regular search results. Now there's even times when this Google Map Pack will even be the first thing you see as a search result. Okay. Super, super important. Right. So, being up there for the search result is, when somebody's looking for something specifically related to your location, super important. So again, let's talk about how we can do that. Search engine optimization. So this is a little bit more of a long-term process, a little bit more difficult to accomplish than paid ads, but I'll give you an idea of how that works. So the best analogy for me is search engine optimization is like owning a home, right? Whereas paid advertising is almost like renting. As soon as you stop paying your rent, you're gone, you're off that space, right? Where SEO, you put in that work, you build that house, you build that equity, you could be there for a while. If you stop taking care of your home, your house is gonna start, declining. Your search results are gonna, your rank is gonna start decreasing as well, right? But you'll stay up there for a little bit if you do that work. So again, SEO, it's a little more of a long-term play. It's not a flip of a switch. Paid ads, you can start paid ads tomorrow and be on that result I was showing you on that Google, on those map results, right? But either or, they both serve the similar purpose to get you on top. So some people don't like the paid ads because it says sponsored, right? You want to be an organic result because it doesn't say, sponsored. So some people like that. Again, I'm fine with either. I do think as a smaller business, doing the paid ads is easier to accomplish because, like I said, right away you pay, you're on top, right? But you have to have the budget for it. So, why do we like Google Business Profile? The actions that you can take on a Google Business Profile highly correlate with revenue, right? It is get directions. It is a click to your website. It is a phone call. There's make a book online, right? There's all these things. I'm trying to think what else. All those things though that, like I said, that are directly correlated. If somebody's clicking get directions, how do I get there? There's a likelihood they want to see how far you are, or they're coming there, right? Somebody calls, they want to, see how much tickets are, or what an event would look like. So again, all that stuff is highly, highly correlated with revenue, right? Those key performance indicators. Another really cool thing and why I've been emphasizing this a lot for our clients is when you do Google Business Profile ads, you could literally see people who have come in who have visited your store. Okay. So there'll be a little, key performance indicator or a metric when you're looking at your Google ads and your Google ads, the back end of it, it'll show you how many people clicked on directions, how many people clicked on the website, how many people clicked on a phone call, right? And then how many people came in store. Literally, they're going to be mapping their phone with that it was in where their location, right? Like literally geotagging it to your location. So they actually showed up and they could say that you're in their store. So it's a great way to measure ROI. So you're sort of taking the guess game out of, again, that ROI. Is this working or is it not? Take how much money you spent. I mean, we've spent as low as $200 on these paid ads for Google Business Profile to show up in that map pack. And, you're getting 20, 30, plus visitors, if not more, a decent amount more to your location. If your average ticket price is $30, you spent $200 to make $900, right? It's a no-brainer. So we're seeing that over and over and over again. So I think as a location-based entertainment center, you should really be focusing on this Google Map Pack. You could, the SEO could be a little bit more expensive, that portion of it, but you can get that done for, I don't know, $300 to $700 as well a month. The Google ads, you could, hire a specialist and pay them, a couple hundred, do an ad spend of $500 and have good impact there. So let's say you're in $1,000 between paying a specialist and, the ad spend and get really, really good results, right? And the bigger thing, like I said, is really seeing how many people visited your store from the ads, which is super important, great way to measure ROI. So do not sleep on your Google Business Profile. It is super important for search results. The other thing I will say to sort of further improve your results, right? Especially for the SEO portion, you want to make sure you have good reviews. Okay. You want to make sure you have an FAQ up there. You want to make sure you're posting images up there. You're responding to those reviews, right? Super, super important. When Google sees those things, it puts those as a factor as to how high you search, you rank organically, right? If they see you have relevant keywords, right? Your laser tag place says laser tag, you have that in your keywords. You have a lot of reviews. You respond to those reviews quickly. You have an FAQ. You're posting images on it. Google right away, when somebody searches laser tag, they're going to say, okay, this result must be super relevant to what this person is looking for. So let me show that to them. Google wants people to come back and use their search engine. Okay. So something to really think about. I would say make sure you're really focusing on your Google business profile, either through search engine optimization or paid ads. I think paid ads is easier for a small, business. I think they're both could be done together in conjunction and produce really good results. But I would suggest you look into that and see how you could better improve your Google business rankings. All right. Hopefully that helps. Talk to you soon. If you run a location-based entertainment brand and want to attract more visitors, check out Radius. They use real-time location data and customized marketing strategies to help brands like yours stand out. Radius can boost your foot traffic and build a loyal customer base. Plus, they're offering a complimentary local market analysis to show you exactly how they can help you grow. Curious? Visit radius.co and ask about your free market analysis. That's RAYDIUS.co.
Greetings, it's Adam with Arcade Heroes for the Arcade Corner at the LBX Collective. And we are now into November, where it's an exciting month for amusement and arcades because we have IAAPA 2024 on the week of November 17th, although the trade show doesn't open until the 19th. But still, it's our Super Bowl, so to speak, as I've heard many say. And so that's where we have all the exciting new product reveals. But fortunately, there are previews in advance of the show so that we can get an idea of what will be there. So if you're watching this and you are going to be at the show, hopefully this will give you help give you an idea. Let's do some things that are going to be there. Last week, I covered a little bit about Stern Pinball and Eunice. This week, we're going to be talking about LAI Games and Sega Amusements. And so let's get into it. With LAI Games, they sent out this preview on their social media, and they've also been publishing some ads in Replay Magazine, It's Your Game Online, that mentions their lineup, which they say will blow you away. And they are at booths 200 and 400. When I was looking at the IAAPA map, I noticed just how extensive their whole setup was. I was very surprised by all that. By the size of it, as it was much larger than what they have done in past events. But as you can see here, there's 5 new games that are going to be introduced at least. Who knows if they would be adding more than that. And of course, they'd still be showing off some of their other games that they introduced last year and possibly even before that are just still selling pretty well. And so that oftentimes manufacturers don't dump all their products, especially if they're still selling. But you have 2 coin pushers, one of which is called Tornado, which is pictured there, and another one called Galaxy Hunter, which has some more video elements, and they say that it's like an RPG or role-playing game that's combined with a coin pusher. Lost Pirate is a redemption game, as you see here, and looks like a quick coin style thing, but I haven't seen too much else on that. I didn't watch the video. I guess I should have done that. But there's also Arcade Matt's Mount Shebang, which I've not seen anything about that yet. But Arcade Matt, of course, is the very popular YouTuber. LAI has brought him to IAAPA before, and I've seen him there checking out some other games, but he's been a big fan of LAI games in the past, and so now he's getting his own game named after him. I assume it would be a redemption game that would fit into the types of games that he plays. And then the video game that's nestled in the center there is one that, let's jump over here, called Kaiju Rampage. Now, this photo that you see here, this shows the Chinese version, and this is known in China as Monster Eye 3, which of course means that it is a sequel. Monster Eye 1, Monster Eye 2, have shown up in limited quantities in the States, but I don't know how well they have sold. I've never seen one of those games on location. I've only seen them at trade shows. But if we look at the LAI version, it's basically the same cabinet, just localized, translated into English. It has a 65-inch 4K screen, And the graphics are powered by Unreal Engine 5, which means it looks like a modern game. So that's oftentimes criticism against a lot of arcade games, is that they just look like mobile games, or they look like a game from 20, 30 years ago. And so when you're using something like Unreal Engine 5, you're usually not falling within that realm of looking really old, unless you're intentionally trying to do so. There's some trailers online that LAI posted where you can see a little bit of footage from the game, and it looks really nice. And then to enhance it further, it has a motion base and a body motion sensor, which would be kind of like saying the Kinect. So that means there are certain moments in the game where it wants you to move your body. And so in the past, I think Monster Eye 2 had done a swimming sequence where you had to like paddle in the air, like you're doggy paddling in the air to swim in the game. And so I assume in this one, it'll have similar elements to it as well. But that will be LAI's big video game, and I assume it'll be accompanied by the likes of Asphalt Legends 9 Arcade, as well as Asphalt Moto Blitz, the motorcycle racing game that they had last year. And all those games are designed by IGS, which has been around since, I believe, 1990. But generally speaking, IGS just does software, and then a company out of China called Wallap, they do the hardware side of it, and then LAI Games has been working with them on both with Wallop to do the hardware and the software, and selling those things into North America, sometimes Europe. And so that is their big video game that's coming. Now, last week I brought up that there was a location test game spotted out there from Sega called Alpha Ops VR Strike. We have a small update on that. While Sega has not officially revealed it yet, which is a little bit unusual considering what their past behavior's been. Oftentimes they have done a big reveal during the month of October, but for some reason they decided not to do that this time with this particular game. But in the latest issue or the IAAPA issue of Intergame Online, they did have this little blurb, which is talking about what it is: an attendant-free coin-op motion VR game from Sega Amusements that it says takes the shooting experience to a new level. And the game is basically a light gun game. It uses a controller that is very similar to the VR Agent game that Sega did a few years back, where it melds a VR headset into a light gun, and so you have to hold it up to your face, kind of like this. And you look around through the goggles that way, but this time you are sitting down, and so that perhaps might make it a different experience, or it should make it a different experience, particularly with the motion base. And there are different weapons that you can use to attack your enemies. There's 3 different locations. This one is also powered by Unreal Engine 5. From the brief footage that I saw of it, it did look like it was a very sharp looking game. And so just between that and the cabinet presentation, it should be something that gets some interest on locations there. And it uses 2 86-inch 4K displays in front there. So that's something nice to look at if you're standing in line waiting to see it. And I assume that's what we'll be able to do when we're waiting to play it at IAAPA. Also mentions a 4.1 surround sound system. You don't see that number used too often. Oftentimes it's 2.1 channel or 5.1, but 4, a little bit unusual there. But Sega also published in Intergame, but they didn't do a whole lot of talking about this, where they had this ad. Now, some of the games that they're going to be showing, of course, are already out there, already available, such as Apex Rebels and Zombies Ready Daddy Go. They are introducing some new models in their Windfall Revolution series, but I'll get into that in a second. On their website, they don't have this game listed yet as of when I'm recording this, but this game was at IAAPA Europe called On Target, and this came from a company in China known as Leon Amusements. And it uses these very elaborate guns that are, I believe they're using a similar gun to Jet Games' Mega Shot, which was machined out of aluminum, I believe it was. So they have some real weight and heft to them. They feel like very real rifles, powered by an air compressor. But instead of playing a video game, in this instance, you're actually shooting at physical targets. It's more like a theme park shooting gallery, but miniaturized, so to speak, for an arcade. And so you can shoot a bunch of different targets, and I assume that they move there. I haven't seen any videos of this yet. This photo here was provided by Kevin Williams, who also does sound off here at the LBX Collective. But that is being brought to Europe and the States through Sega, and that should be there. It'll be interesting to see that. I assume that it'll work for both redemption and amusement only play, although there probably won't be a whole lot of locations out there that are doing amusement only with something like this. One redemption game that they have is called Big Sea Fishing. Now, of course, this is not Sega's first foray into fishing games. Most famously, Sega had Big Bass Fishing back in, I think it was 1998. And that did pretty well in arcades. I remember at the first arcade I worked at, they had one, a deluxe version, and it had a realistic fishing rod, where it even had a cord attached to it. It wasn't fishing strings, that would be broken too easily, but very cool and realistic feedback. This one, it comes from a Chinese company, I believe SEA Entertainment, which is very close to Sega. It's just missing the G. Sega has worked with them in the past on Hot Racers, the kiddie video game. Also could be a redemption one. But this has mounted force feedback real controllers. You've probably seen a lot of different fishing games that use a similar controller to that. Eunice had their Wicked Tuna, which did that, and there have been some others too. I think the general game concept is still kind of like that a couple of the fishing games Eunice has done, or say Harpoon Lagoon, but it's just in a vertical format. Now, the graphics on this would not be impressive like an Unreal Engine 5 sort of thing, but would look more mobile game-ish in that regard. But it does have some power-ups to make gameplay a little more interesting, and usually when it comes to redemption type games, players aren't quite as picky. It's just with Sega, that name being attached to anything, sometimes they are. And so just the nature of the business, I suppose. But that will be there. And then we had the Scalefall Revolution, where they have a new 2-player model and a 4-player model that'll be available for that. From everything I've heard on the single-player models, those have done very, very well out there. I've been tempted to maybe grab one for my arcade, which is not super redemption focused, but when it comes to instant prize machines, I've got a little bit of space for things like that. And that sort of thing is doing pretty well right now on the market, where things have still been kind of tough out there. But that gets us up to speed for now on what is likely going to be at IAAPA. Of course, there can always be certain surprises that aren't revealed in advance, or there can be certain things that don't end up coming to the show due to some sort of shipping problem, something along those lines. I know that Sega is also holding certain things back for EAG in London in 2025. And so be interesting to see what the differences might be between those things. But that wraps up this version or this edition of Arcade Corner. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
All right. Well, man, there's so much stuff to cover there. And, I think that one of the things I've noticed is, one of the things that stood out. I mean, first of all, I loved the stuff like the Kaiju Rampage, the Alpha Ops VR Strike, although I do question whether or not goggles are really the way to go still in arcades, but, whatever. I love those zombies, like the Ready, Steady, Go. Like, that's still one of my favorite little modern Midway style games. But one of the things I've noticed is even the cranes have the footprint of these things have been getting bigger and bigger. And there's with the upgraded cabinets, the cabinet designs, and like the bigger screens, and like everything is just bigger, and that's awesome. But it also creates a problem depending on the size of your game floor. And also, we talk about revenue per square foot on an arcade game floor. Now you're having to start to generate a lot more revenue from one game versus 3 games that would have been in that same square footage.
I know. Yeah, I think we talked about this last time too. Like,
Mhm.
and I think about this, like one of the features for us was actually advertising that we had 68 or 98, whatever it was, arcade games. And you're right. Like if these guys start taking up the footprint of 4, and they probably cost more than
Yeah.
the 4 little ones, when did the economies of this change, right? And then not only that, the other thing we didn't talk about is the cost of replacing parts in these things and how much more advanced they're getting as far as like the mechanics
Motion
of
bases and other stuff, right? Yeah.
Totally. And that's what I started noticing is that lots of the stuff has TVs in it, right? And those components seem to go really quickly, especially if you don't have your power ironed out. You get lots of brownouts, as we used to call them, not even just blackouts, and you're turning your game floor off and on. You're just always causing problems in those units. So yeah, I think it's really curious to see what's going to happen. And I really hope the manufacturers start coming out with some newer, smaller pieces that, that will help with these businesses.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I love the innovation that's happening. Like, I love the fact that they're using Unreal Engine 5 now, so the graphics are getting better, and like all of that is really good. Like, there's storylines being embedded. I love that battle cards are coming back. Like, card battlers are coming into the industry. Like, I think that brings in us a little cool, a little innovation. But totally agree with you. I wish that they were also innovating on smaller format models of some of these things. Because yeah, I mean, economically to make the purchase, economically to place them on your floor and generate the right amount of revenue you need in order for payback. I think we're going to have to really begin to think more about that economic structure for your arcade floor.
Yeah. And I mean, not only that, when you're just talking, it just suddenly popped in my head, like placing games on a floor is an art. Like, and there is a lot of, thought around there that, do you want to be moving your arcade games around on your floor as well? Like that was one of the strategies we had, is we would move arcade games around so that when people came in again, they'd see a new game every time. And sometimes they were surprised by what they were seeing because it might've been hidden in a corner or something. And if you're moving these big pieces, you're going to damage them. You have to worry about where you're plugging stuff into power. Like it does become extremely challenging. I mean, all of a sudden we have to build these massive centers that are just 100,000 square feet so we can accommodate these massive arcade floors, and then you talk about the price of rents being jacked up from, what was it, $15 a square foot now to suddenly $50 because everyone's trying to make their money. So lots of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, maybe somebody who can help us learn how to scale up our businesses accordingly in order to accommodate for that. We're going to hear from Beth Stanley with Scale Up.
Hey, Beth Stanley, CEO of Trainertainment, here to talk with you today about helping scale your business, maybe even scale your personal life. My feeling is that when you can run the business rather than letting it run you, your life can be better. Who doesn't want a better life, right? So today, I want to kind of follow up. We were talking last time about doing great planning, looking out 6 to 10 years, bringing that back to 3 to 5, and then what can we do next year? And I want to bring that even closer into focus and look at the next 90 days. So there's a couple of components that I want to talk to you about today. One is what kind of goals, Stephen Covey referred to them as rocks, do you need to focus on in order to meet the initiatives that you've set out for the year? Listen, you don't want to make a rock for rock's sake. You want those strategic goals to be focused on what you said you wanted to have happen. What are those big initiatives for the new year? So if I give you an example of that, it might be I've got on my mind that I'm going to launch the new actually version 2 of People Buy From People, the book that I've written about how to personally connect in an impersonal world. I've added a bonus chapter, an epilogue, changed the forward up, and have added some content to some of the chapters that were already written. I think all in all, it'll be about 40% more. And that launch if all goes well, should happen in the first quarter. And so that's a big initiative. Secondarily, so for the 90 days, launching that version 2 of that book will go on my 90-day rock for the initiative about providing more influence with speaking, writing, and blogging more, doing more video casts and things like that, because that's a big initiative for me personally that impacts the company as an overarching strategy for the new year. You might have something. You might have a strategy. We were talking last time about providing 401k to your team or to your full-time management team. And so in the first quarter, your rock might be to connect with 3 different agencies that could help you set up a 401k. And each week, there's 13 weeks in those quarters, and each week you would need to do something that moves you closer to the finish line. The times I've been most successful are when I've used my full focus planner. I'm a Michael Hyatt certified full focus planner, and all my annual goals are written down here, and then I have projects which turn into goals for the 90 days. And it's amazing because each week I do strategic planning, and I have a top 3 for the week, and those better be focused against the rocks that I have for the 90 days. So I do that for the week, and then each day I have my top 3 priorities for the day. And I'm not always working against the rocks. Tomorrow I have an annual planning session with a client. I won't be doing anything but that most important client work tomorrow. But each day I'm strategically planning, what am I going to do? What are the top 3 things that I can get done that hopefully include what I said were most important for the week, that rely on what I said was most important for the quarter, that then point all the way back to what was most important for the year. And I know that may sound simple. I don't know, maybe it sounds complicated to some, but for me, it keeps me focused, because I can tell you my mind can go 1,000 different directions. I have 20 new ideas a day. Maybe 2 of them are pretty good ones. But if I don't have a strategy about how to execute on those things, or how to prioritize them, or do I take something off the priority list in order to accomplish that? Does that make sense to our overall initiative? And because we've got a really good map laid out for what the plan is, it helps me to focus. And I happen to think I'm not so different from others. Okay, so once you have decided what are my most important things toward obtaining the right priorities for the next 13 weeks, you're going to measure out, you're going to document, I'm going to do this week 1, I'm going to do this week 2, and so on. Now then, one final thing I want to leave with you is you want to be careful about not over planning for all the things that you can do. 13 weeks is not that long. And when you look at it in terms of work hours and work weeks, there's about 52 days, because there's always a holiday. There's hopefully you get a day off here and there. And so you start bringing it down into 52 days. And, they say that if you'll spend 20% of your time working on the things that are not urgent but important, which is kind of really where a rock falls, that
Intercard is the only cashless system designed, developed, and manufactured all under one roof. They introduced cashless technology to the amusement industry and have been leading the way for over 30 years. Cashless systems from Intercard increase customer spending, guest satisfaction, and boost revenues by up to 30%. Intercard is so proud to be serving the amusement industry, and if you aren't already part of their global family of customers, they hope you will become one soon. All right, well, it wouldn't be an LBX show without some sort of technical difficulty. So,
Yeah, exactly. Doorbells, dogs, and cutoff episodes.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we do have a preview, though, for our upcoming Sound Off with Kevin Williams. And excited to play this.
All right, let's have a go.
Alcohol in glass form. It is interesting to see how the cocktail sector has embraced the social entertainment sector. And we are seeing venues opening up now, creating brand new cocktails and drinks, signatures, reviving old cocktail recipes. The mixologists of the social entertainment bars are as important as the games that are being played in many cases. They generate, as we've seen, quite a large part of the revenue stream for these facilities. And they also need to be mindful on the needs of their modern audience. And one of the things that is now being seen by the modern audience is not everybody wants to get drunk. That goes there. They're drinking socially more than they're drinking to get plastered, as it were. And so now a number of these companies, and Lucky Voice was promoting it recently, have started to produce a new menu of virgin drinks, still including the social ability, still including the vibe and zest and the fun of the cocktail, but without the bite of alcohol. And I wouldn't be surprised if we're going to see that being a major addition across all of the F&B aspects of the industry. The nice thing about virgin cocktails is that you can serve them to your younger audiences.
Yeah, I think that's totally true, right? Definitely, definitely. It was a great one. So it was Sound Off episode 50, and definitely excited for everybody to hear it.
Yeah, I'm glad he's calling out that trend because I think it's super important, especially with the way these generations are working. They recognizing alcohol is maybe not everything that we recognize alcohol as. So yeah, get on your mocktails, get on those.
Awesome. Well, everybody, that wraps up our LBX show for November 3rd. I hope you've all enjoyed this week's edition, and we'll see you on the next one. Until then, keep kicking ass.
Bye, guys.